Is
All
my
right.
lighting good?
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, we're on.
How
Hello.
you doing?
You are watching the Conexiones, the Afro-Latino connection. I have a guest here today, and I'm excited to get started, but this is where we just explore experiences and topics concerning our African, Latino, and our connections to our diasporic communities. So welcome, my name is Margaret, and we have here somebody just similar to me. We are like first generation Americans.
It's true.
That is exciting. We have our own perspectives. We're going to dive a little bit into that. And my guest is Myrie.
How
He's
you
a
doing?
professional in health and in fitness. And I'll never forget some of the good advice he's given me about some of my little eating and breakfast patterns. I still take that advice till today. So I'm grateful. Welcome, Andre. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm trying to keep it together, bro. I'm trying to keep it healthy and fit. And so I just want to know how you're doing out there. How's it looking? How are you keeping? The reason why we're going into this today with Myrie is because I feel like we've heard a lot. I think I've and listened countless hours to my elected officials. And it wasn't like, I planned it, but I'm not going to lie. The governor of New York really had some decent tips and things to say. And I really liked the way he ended one of his last meetings, which was, you know what, prayer still works because we've seen it all. We've gotten questions. A lot of things have been thrown at our elected officials. Our mayor's had to go in and back and forth with reporters. But we've also heard from people who are paid a lot of money to sit down and talk and tell people what they feel and what they should do. You hear the stars put on the mask, people. So if they didn't say it, would we not have done it? I don't know. I don't think it hurt, but it's good to hear from people who are on the front lines, so to speak, because we have to be out there. So Myrie and his health and fitness industry, he has to be out there. He's the voice of tomorrow, young, Black, and first generation. And since we're exploring our diasporic communities and our experiences on the Afro-Latino connection, let's make that conexión today. So, ¿cómo estamos? How's it going, Andre? How do you feel, first of all? Because I remember what you said, bro, on one of your last live Facebooks. You were really, really just very articulate, and you were explaining how you felt at this current moment, and that's important to hear your voice. What is it like for a Black male at a time like this? How are you feeling at the current moment? Not just the pandemic, but you understand there's other things that we're going through. How are you feeling?
Well, it's, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me and giving me the platform. It's truly, truly appreciated. And, what you're doing is greatly appreciated. We need more people who are doing this. These are the things that are going to really help us get that. I mean, awareness is everything. If you know there's an issue, then you can be proactive in correcting that issue, right? And if we don't articulate, we don't have these forums where we're able to give perspective. So, because what I'm starting to understand too, and this is going to tie into how I feel about being a Black man, is that a lot of people who aren't living my experience don't understand my experience, right?
Thank you.
And so those individuals are not the individuals I'm upset at. I'm not upset at those individuals. I'm upset at the individual who understands my experience and then chooses not to acknowledge it. But I feel like we got to educate those who don't really understand what's going on, what it means to really be Black in America. And another dynamic you really talked about, which is really huge, was something I never even really played around with, is being a first generation American, right? You don't even think about that because of the way they institute your culture. Me being Jamaican, you being Cuban, and stuff, like your culture is so integral in your growth and your upbringing, right? You almost forget, like, no, I was the first one from my family who was
First gen, that's right.
So the connection to what it is to be a Black American is very real. How I feel right now, of course, I'm still hurt because what's really changed?
Thank you.
We've painted a couple streets Black Lives Matter.
That's what I was saying. That's right. We painted a lot, at least here.
We've canceled Starbucks and Goya and those things.
Cancel culture.
cancel culture. We had Nancy Pelosi put on some kente cloth, like, and so I look at it, and so I say this is more so than being sad. I'm a little bit more frustrated at this point because I feel like it's the same perpetual cycle of being pandered to, right? As a black man in America right now, I don't feel safe.
Wow.
I don't feel safe.
Wow.
I'm a big, I'm calling me a personal term, big, muscular, strong black man, right? And I
Yeah.
honestly don't feel safe. It's funny, I was talking to a client and she was telling me how her husband, he gets up at 9 o'clock at night and goes for a walk. I literally said, that must be nice.
Ooh.
And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, I look suspicious at 2 p.m.
Wow,
during the day.
that's right.
Right?
That's right.
So at 9 p.m. at night, all it takes is somebody seeing me outside and saying, oh, this, and we don't know what that could happen. And the fact that what it is to be a black man is to constantly second guess every decision you make. I'm not trying to be a victim, right? Because I'm not.
Right.
I'm just literally giving you my experience, right? It's something as simple as, if anybody knows me, like you said, how I've been staying fit in this entire year, is I walk 5 miles a day. Right?
What? Wait. Rewind. How many miles?
I walk 5 miles a day, right?
Okay. You never. We never discussed that one, but okay.
So it's been, so during this quarantine, I'll be honest with you, quarantine was tremendous for me in terms physically, because through all the, in terms of all the everything I was going through, like all the turmoil I was going mentally. I mean, and I think something that's not being talked about as well is that a lot of us were going through our own personal struggles before all this stuff hit, like a pandemic.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? A pandemic is one of the little things. Like, if I can be personal, February 26th, one of my best friends committed suicide.
Wow.
One of my best friends. I'm talking about like my brother, my best friend. And then you go from February 26th, you know, when the quarantine started, which was the 14th.
Wow.
Locked in the house.
Yep.
Missed out on the job that I just got because of the whole quarantine as a fitness player. Those were personal things that were going on before George Floyd happened, right? And I say before George Floyd because this is a thing we've always been going through. But like I said to you before, is we become so desensitized to what it is. Another black man being killed by the cops it was an everyday thing at this point. It was just like, man, I just hope I'm not the one who gets pulled over in that situation. It's a term of helplessness, right?
Thank you.
And when you had George Floyd happen, you know, the anger that came in because of the maliciousness of how it was done. And as a black man, you kind of felt empowered in your anger, right? And then you started to understand. And then you start to understand that your anger is not empowering you. It's all it is it's creating that divide even more so, right?
It propels you. It should propel you. You know, I mean, some people decided they were going to, you know, I don't know. It's not that's not the only reason for the looting and for expressions of anger. But you know what? Some people took that anger and you know what? They decided to engage the elected officials. I think that's, you know, like one of my favorite things to do. Some of them decided to protest and some are still doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. Some are writing the letters. Some are going out there. Some are like, I don't know. Some are running for office. I'm not saying. But
when you talk about the looting, not to cut you, we talk about the looting. I mean, and this is not to play tit for tat, but I mean, I remember that we had a nice little thing going in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you know what I mean, in the past.
Come on now. All right, so we want to talk about the Black Wall Street. Okay, thank you. We want to talk about the looting of Black communities, or we want to, because then you're not really facing, okay, I'm not a fan of the looting, but I think we've left something else out of the conversation. We've left something out. You know, what about the pain of losing everything and that the Black community, my blood was boiling when I was listening to this journalist talk about, you know, AOC is unhinged. And, you know, she was just, you know, she's so passionate. And obviously these were, I guess, right-wing conservatives, but, you know, they have a platform on the radio and they're going at it. And I'm thinking, they don't understand. This is what privilege sounds like. They don't understand what it means to be Black. They've never lost anybody. They're not in fear and danger of having their daughters or sons lynched or they're not dealing with like the collective embodiment of all of this pain, and then rooted in the history of when you started to climb up and have your own systems, your own economic empowerment. Somebody robbed it, they looted your Black bodies. You know, you left that out of the conversation. Don't worry about the anger. What about why they're so angry?
And that wasn't even about actual Black Wall Street. That was all psychological warfare. That was to let you know, Black man, listen, you make your money, but the minute you start to try and be free from our societal constructs, what we try to create, we're going to tear you down. That's why you see a lot of rappers and a lot of athletes, right? If you think about the amount of money that these rappers and athletes have collectively, we could have really rebuilt our Black community the way, you know, other races or other ethnic groups have been able to do.
So you're not saying that they shouldn't speak up. I'm going to let you continue that thought, but I was just thinking, you know, when we were talking, you know, I was just thinking that it's okay to have people in positions of power or people who are in positions of influence to speak out, because then you wonder, like, where is so-and-so when, you know, where is so-and-so? He's collecting all that money. He's not saying anything. I don't mind people coming out.
It's because you got to understand that the people who pay these guys are corporations. So when a corporation,
let's not talk about the green lighters and the record deals and the record companies and how they pay people to, you know.
But it's even deeper than that. These are the people who are paying you. So if you start to push a narrative that is adverse to their belief system, you lose your money, you lose your power, and then what they really do to you is they completely destroy your image, right?
Right, but they're okay with you saying the N-word. They're okay with you, you know, looking at portraying our sisters in a certain way. They're okay with that because that sells for some strange reason, and you'd be surprised of who is doing all the buying. But you know, you can't do that with other ethnicities or races. You cannot.
Well, you got to understand when you talk about, and I listen to rap music, right? I listen to rap music. When you talk about the people who really like the mainstream rap you hear on the radio and those things, people don't listen to that. Right? If you look at record album sales, you look at concert ticket sales, and if you check the demographics that are majority buying those things, the majority of them are buying those things, you'd be really surprised what demographic it is. I tell you this, they don't have none of this in them. I'm not gonna say what race it is. I'm just gonna say they're devout of melanin. All right.
Do we respect the Black man?
No.
That is the question. This is why I have Andre Myrie on today. I want to hear somebody who is just living it, who's keeping it real, who's keeping his ears to the ground. He's got his own business. He's doing his thing, but he's on the front lines too. He's got to make a living out here, and he's listening. He's in tune with what Black males are going through. He has to be out there walking his 5 miles a day and staying safe, not just physically. Yeah, physically, but you know, he's trying to do his mental and physical. He's a health and fitness professional, and this is Conexiones, the Afro-Latino connection, where we explore experiences and topics that concern our community. But speaking with Andre today, knowing that he's first generation like I am, knowing the mentality that our families came to this country with, and listen, I'm going to let you get back to what you were saying about the rappers, but let's just digress just a little bit. Let's just hold that thought about the rappers. Let's just digress a little bit. Our families came here with a dream, and I'm not saying that my Latino brothers and sisters are absent, but I'm just saying without the melanated part of you, I don't see maybe the anger that drives me to sit down here and have this conversation with my friends. I don't see that outrage. I don't see the disbelief. I don't see the numbness. And you can hit on that numbness. I was walking around pretty numb for some time. I'm just like, you know what? It's not like this is something new, but for some strange reason,
it's been an awakening.
The intersectionality of the epidemics and the, you know, like you said, you were already going through personal loss.
It's been the perfect storm. It's been the perfect gumbo to actually make sure that this exploded to where that wave of consciousness where it can't go back to what it was. Like you said, we've been desensitized to it. We were numb to it. But like everything that happened it's almost like when the Renaissance happened back in the day, right? It had to be a wave of consciousness that happened. And
that's right.
But when you talk about the upbringing of, when you're talking about how our Latinos, it happens in the Caribbean community as well, right? And the thing about it, like I try to explain to them, is like, and more so prevalent in the Caribbean community, is the upbringing. When you are born in Jamaica or Trinidad, in those places, it's not a question of being held by a certain racial dynamic. Your whole upbringing is poverty and classism. Right? If you're born poor, you look at the rich and you say, if I work hard enough, I can beat it. And do you know why? Because the rich look like you, right? So you never looked at it. So you think, all right, a lot of people come here and say, if I have the work ethic here with the amount of opportunity that America has made you think is there, which is there for a particular demographic, of course, right? So when you see that and you come here, right? And Jamaicans make it. Yes. Jamaicans make it, Trinidad Africans make it, they do. Yes, right?
That's right.
But what they tend not to understand is, right, is society has made it so that those who are Black American, like, I was bringing down somebody who's older who didn't even understand the concept of what redlining was, right? Or the fact that when you look at Black applications, and I don't know if the numbers have changed, but when I was in high school, right, 1 in 10 white applications were pulled compared to 1 in 15 applications, right, based upon the name.
Wow.
When you hear somebody say, "Look, I gotta name my kid Brittany or Jonathan because I don't want my name to be too ethnic," you know how crazy, like. I mean, no other race has said, man, nobody else, I can't name my daughter Amber because she won't get a job. Like, those things, like, are absolutely crazy. So that's why I try and tell Caribbeans and Latinos, like, stop looking down on Black Americans because their upbringing is different. They were born into a society that made it so they were not supposed to succeed.
That's
J.
right.
Edgar Hoover, our FBI director, said, I think it was in the 70s or early 80s, that the biggest threat to national security was Negro unity, right? He said that about us as Black people. So when you got to understand that, when you're coming here and you're working hard as a Jamaican, we're not talking about only you. We're talking about a society, because when you get to the higher up, though, nobody else look like you. You don't think there's a problem with that?
Come on now.
We are that less talented that we can't make it to those same type of forums, those same boardrooms, and can't run those same corporations.
Unless you're Mitch McConnell, who thinks, like, what more do you want? You know, we've already given you a Black president.
Well, I won't go into our Black president.
You know, they figure, like, you know, we got your token Blacks. What more do you want? What are you complaining about? I don't know if your friends, Andre,
as much as I love me Barack, as much as I love Barack, and I love what he represented, if that really signaled change, we wouldn't be in the state we are right now.
Was he the token Black? I don't know. I don't know. Like, why are we in this? Why are we in this dire rush for systemic? We should have been, you know what I mean, discussing these things.
He was a pacifier. If you know anything about the presidency, and I won't go too much into policy, but there were two initiatives: there's domestic and there's foreign, right? Right. Domestic was, right, Barack Obama ended up quelling a lot of racial tension at that time because there was, like I said, a false perception that things were changing for the better.
That's
that we'd hit an equal ground. Where if you understood during the Obama years was probably the hardest to advance as a regular Black person ever, right? It was almost like Lynch point, he's here, so we don't want to hear that we're not giving you a fair equal shot, right? And it was foreign. He also opened up trade with Africa in a way that wouldn't have happened with any other president. But people don't understand that there are initiatives. And so when you hear a lot of people talk about our Black president, it's the emotion and the symbolism. But you got to talk policy.
Thank you.
When you talk policy, like I said, the man was a pacifier. I love the fact that we had him because I can look at my little cousins and my nephew and my niece and say, y'all can aspire to be anything great. It's a great place to be able to. But when you really understand what was really going on, that's why people have that issue.
They feel like, you know what, we're giving you that. That's it. That's the line. So I see what you're saying.
We have to understand it's about elevating us in society. We have to stop being so individual minded. Us as Black people can't embody the capitalist manifesto, right?
Okay, we're gonna get there. Okay, let me backtrack a little bit. First generation, we're working hard, and it's not just because our parents work hard. We work hard because, you know, it's ingrained in us, but we want to work smarter, not harder. System
Okay?
wasn't
Why do I
set up
have to
for us, though. We have to support Black-owned businesses. We do have to support each other. You know what?
identify
You're a
those?
businessman, so I know you're going for it, and I'll let you share your information a little at the end. But this is why we're sitting here. I need to hear from people like you who are on the ground, running, doing your thing.
And
Okay.
you posted a question: does the society respect the Black man?
Do we?
No, we're an endangered species. We've been an endangered species. But it's not just the Black man. I feel like the Black man is definitely endangered. The Black woman, I feel like, goes through it probably worse.
That's what I was told, but
the thing with the Black man is that we're literally being genocided. We're Black women, I feel like, are more the marginalization.
Not just lynched. You're not just lynched.
Yeah.
But systemically.
Systemically, yes, but physically, Black men are in danger more than Black women. Systemically, Black women are marginalized in a way that nobody else in this country.
That's right. Yeah.
Black men are not respected. Absolutely not. I've always said it. The Bill of Rights is, we're not even going to go who has more rights, but we are at the bottom of the totem pole.
But the rappers are getting paid a lot. People want to connect to rappers if they're making a lot of money. Doesn't matter what race they are. They don't mind being with the rappers. You could go to Asia. You can go everywhere. Everybody wants to dress. Everybody wants to speak like they want to be down with a strong Black male like you doing their thing.
But it's the American construct. All America's ever elevated Black people to do is entertain them. They never taught us to be businessmen. They never thought we could be politicians, right? That's why they push us. If you work really hard at basketball, you can be a great basketball player. You'd be a football. Football, to me.
I wish my friend was here today. I invited somebody who played football for years.
Dick Gregory said it. When he watches football, rest in peace to that man, he said this is absolutely the living embodiment of slavery, right? It's the Black men who are big and powerful running up and down, the white man on the side with a clipboard looking smart.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And they constantly perpetuation pushes to either rap, play basketball, or entertain. Right?
Wow.
Entertainment has always been the Black man's way out. It's the only way they've ever made it more prevalent. They've never pushed us to be business owners and CEOs, right?
Wow.
There are Black CEOs. Don't get it twisted. There's Black CEOs, as prominent Black, but that's not what's perpetuated. All right?
Got you.
It's not what's perpetuated. People still talk about Jay-Z like he's a crack dealer. You don't talk about this man being a multi-billionaire. Marcy Project.
Well, they say he came out, he came out the neighborhood and made it well. So I guess you can make it too, and make millions of money. And then everybody want to be with you. Old Black man.
But here's a crazy thing.
Make a lot of money. You see,
here's a crazy
gotta change that narrative.
They'll talk about him selling crack and being a deplorable human being. Let me explain something to you about drug dealing. That was pushed into our communities. We didn't have no planes, right? You wouldn't hire us, right? You pigeonholed us into these communities and then flooded them with drugs.
Good point.
You guys are mad at a Black man who unfortunately poisoned his community, which, let's be frank, was going to be poisoned whether he sold it or not, because it was a part of genocide. You don't go to certain communities to see a gun store and a liquor store in every single corner, right? Or a check cashing place. We don't see banks in the right? Check cashing place everywhere. You don't see banks, right?
All right. So the business model.
So you're talking about a Black man who took his cert, which to me is more impressive than the individual who had the head start, right? You took a man who had to literally dodge the law, right, to be able to make his upbringing, took that and made a legitimate business. And then at the end of the day, after making that legitimate business, is now facilitating other young Black men to be able to make it. Do you realize that rappers aren't even rapping to rap anymore? They're rapping to start companies. They're rapping to buy real estate, right? They're buying back their communities, right? Those are the little things that are starting to happen, but you're talking about the example of an individual of how much harder it had to be. I'll give it two personal examples. Jay-Z's 50 years old and just became a billionaire, right? Kylie Jenner is what, 27? And she was a billionaire before him?
Well,
selling lipstick?
Listen, we're not going to go
This,
into generational wealth on this program, and a lot
but
of us are not into.
I just wanted to
A lot of
help
us
us
a lot of
understand
us
that.
are not into, the whole system of what put our black man into those institutions and made them so much money. It was the prison system is a business. Let's not even talk about Rikers,
So,
that people
so
just awaken to the fact that people are there haven't even gotten to trial yet, so you don't know if they're guilty. So but people
so
broad brush this, and we
and
work
that's and
hard.
that's and that's a tie into has the black man is not respected is how much harder we have to work, how many more things we have to overcome to be able to be successful.
So we
And then what
respect the black man. We respect the black man, but the black men who are working
I
to
don't
be
think we respect the black
entrepreneurs
man.
and to
I think we fear the black man. I think we fear the black man's potential.
in
Right?
many
That's
ways,
it. I,
in many ways.
Louis Farrakhan said it. It was like, if you look at it, white people have always said that there's a fear that they have of the big, strong black man. And I always say, and it's always crazy he said this. Why is that? Because we don't have a history of hurting and killing white people.
Let's not even talk about history. You don't want to really go into. I had to,
No, but the reason I say that,
who are the real gangsters here? It's like,
but
when I
this,
start talking to my Haitian friends about really how do the victors get stuck with the bill, and then this stuff. Listen, who are the real gangsters out there to tell the victors, okay, you know what? Here we come with our cannons and our guns. You owe me, and if not, you know what? You looking down the barrel. So let's not talk about who the real gangsters are. We want to talk about imperialism and colonialism. Listen, that's a whole other show.
But the reason why I brought that up is to just really show, like, oh, listen, like, this is why we're talking about why the black man is feared. That's why we're so low on the totem pole. Like, you had to create it because you understand that when you give an individual who is just more gifted than you are, let's just be frank, it's physical superiority. We are more physically superior. And that's what creates that fear. You create that fear based upon a guilt dynamic of understanding. You think that we came into power, we would do the same things that you did to us.
Some people argue with that superiority thing, but obviously there's a reason why many of them are playing, are winning Olympic medals.
If we just broke it down from a strictly biological standpoint, right? And I'm not trying to preach any type of debate, but we are physically superior. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. That's why we're 75, 80% of both of our most prominent sports leagues. We're just physically superior.
Well, you know what? Sad to say, several hundreds of years on this continent and the Caribbean, let's not even lie now, that slavery was really brutal in the Caribbean. So I'm just saying, all those years of slavery and that hard labor, you know what? You're looking at the product of all that hard labor. You're looking at the children of all those years, of all those ancestors who have.
Remember, it's been, even going to this day, it's been to break the black man. If we really went into detail of what they used to do to break the black man, destroy the black man's mindset and the black family, like, they understood that the black family construct was the biggest thing in the world. That's why you see a lot of these people gravitate and go get and date outside their race. It destroys us as a community. That's why I talk about, when we say black men are respected, yes, we are not, but we disrespect our black women too. And we don't understand how much that's really downgrading us as a people.
Ladies and gentlemen, hold that thought. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Andre Myrie, the health and fitness expert, one of my good friends and my brother. You know what? I'm really honored to have him here today on Conexiones, the Afro-Latino connection, because we're first generation Americans. We live here. We feel here. Andre has been very transparent, and he's been like that. So this is why he's sitting with me today. And I had to ask, is the black man respected? We feel the hurt, we feel the collective numbness and the pain of our communities, and do people invite you to sit at the table to talk about your side of the story? I hear what the newscasters are saying. Everybody has a theory, but are they listening? They don't really want to sit at your table and hear what your history, what your background is, and really what you've gone through. How is it through your eyes? The fact that you have a client who, brags about going out at 9 o'clock at night, and you want to do your 5-mile walk, and you wouldn't be doing it at night. And that's something else. Not to say that, the Garden State is, better or worse than New York, but I like what you said. I'm gonna let you continue that thought. What's going on with the Black women? Why is it that our Black brothers, I'm not gonna put this in general terms, but you know, you're speaking here at this
No, and
particular Black
obviously
personally. So thank you.
it's not it's not all of us, obviously, but you know, it's a narrative that we really devalue, we downgrade, we down talk our Black women. And when we do that, right, who is supposed to really support us at that point? Where is our support construct supposed to come from?
Big
Those
time.
powerful women who are supposed to be able to hold us down when we are in those weak points, we keep degrading them, right? We don't have that support system. So what does that in turn do? It weakens us in society, right?
Who taught our Black brothers to devalue us? Was it, it's
Oh,
not
that's
just the
history.
mainstream media, it's just like, is it the separation of families or in slavery that you know you were going to
It's
lose, you could lose your woman at any time,
it,
or
it,
in front of your woman she would be in front you, your woman could be taken and violated at any point in the day or night in front of you, that kind of disrespect. So now that you've had to hold her loosely for so many years, was that passed down generationally, or is this just another excuse for not stepping up, old Black man? But I respect
I
the
don't think
man.
I don't think anything that's happened to us historically can be ever used as an excuse. I think
Good,
in order
good,
to understand where we are, we have to
good.
understand where we came from. So yes, individually we got to be better and understand how we're supposed to treat women. But systemically and historically, remember, and it's not just the Black man divide. Remember, Black women were taught that the Black man was less than because of the things they used to do to break the Black man in front of the Black women and children. Right? You in turn had women raising their men to be weaker, right?
Mm, I don't want to think about that.
Right?
But
Raising their men to be weaker because of fear that if they were too strong, they would be picked and taken away from the family construct. Right? So now when you have those type of things, you have the Black woman growing up respecting another figure other than the Black man. Right? Now this is speculation, me looking at it from my perspective. So nothing I say is it's based upon facts, but it's my opinion and how I interpret it. So
I
when you have
respect your opinion, and this is why you're here. You know, people
so
can argue with it all day long, but that's your opinion. That's your opinion, and you could stick to it. That's
so
your opinion, your reality. I
you,
mean, we could make excuses, but I think, you know, we're going to try to wrap this up as to where we see this going. I know that
okay.
in Brooklyn, all that money spent on the Black Lives Matter murals,
Mm-hmm.
defend Black lives. I don't mind that so much as I mind the fact that we're in a marathon, and you should know because you've been.
all,
I
all
don't think
that
you
stuff.
woke up one morning and just could lift the weights that you can lift and could walk those miles you can walk. If I tried those 5 miles,
Oh, it
you
took
know, from
time.
0 to 5, you know, that would be a bad mistake. So you built
Definitely,
that up. So we
definitely.
have
Yep.
we have a marathon in front of us. We have we have an agenda that we have to look forward to changing, and it's not just, you know, taking away our voting rights. It's just a whole systematic agenda that is
Well,
not to favor us.
sys-
So we've got to think about it in those terms. We've got a long way
sys-
to go,
well,
but what do you think
systemically, it's not going to change. You know what is really the only thing that really matters is Black money.
is
Right?
money?
It's money. It's
So
always
how
been money.
so
It's why
how
they've always.
how do we have them
Go ahead.
value the Black man and value us as the Black community economically? So we're talking about economic empowerment again.
We must.
I
We
like we're
must
not going to
segregate.
be
We got to segregate the Black dollar from America.
okay. This is not the first time I'm hearing it. You know,
Right?
I should have had my
Remember. They always say that the worst thing that ever happened to Black people was integration, and it's not that it was integration because we don't want a world where we only look like each other. But you're talking about integration in terms of the form of how it was. It's integration in the form of institutionalization, right? We got institutionalized, right? And we started just spending money. Like we spend over $1 trillion a year as Black people. Imagine if we were pushing that through our communities. And they knew that, and that's why they've created. That's why you think rappers glorify Louis Vuitton and Gucci? Like those things are on purpose. If you're not putting it into mom and pop stops at the spot, like you're gonna spend it in another company that doesn't value or care about you. It doesn't even use you as models unless you have that influence.
so
So
now
to be honest,
so now Andre Myrie is giving us a wake up call and asking us to wake
Black
up,
money.
design your own or support
Design your
those,
own.
because there's so many making and creating. We can't even go there. We're talking about just a couple of days off. I mean, I appreciated that one day off where they were like, just don't bother going out there. Support Black owned business. I love those initiatives, but you know what?
Shit,
Is that
it's
to help
every
us
day.
to get conscious, or should we have already been woke to the fact that if we don't support us, then
You can't.
really,
I can't say already should have been woke. When you get a society that puts you in a point of, remember, and we're capitalists, so you put yourself into a point of self-preservation and survival, right? It's just like I do better than my other person,
got you.
right? Right?
Wow.
And those things are created, man. Like they did that to us with the Black Panther Party. Like you create that division between us because it's easier to destroy us when divided. Malcolm X said it though. There's gonna come a time, and I think that time is now, where the Black man will wake up and realize he's a Black man and start looking at other Black men as Black men.
That's
And
right.
that's when that racial unity will happen. And that's when you understand if you do something to one of us, you do it to all of us.
Okay.
And
You
so to
understand
me,
the outrage now, ladies and gentlemen? Because it's not just George Floyd. Do you understand that now? It's not, this did not begin with George Floyd. The hurt
George
that we
Floyd was
feel,
the straw
the
that
reason
came up
why a
with
lot
the,
of us are speaking out. Thank you. It's not started with George Floyd. And where do we go from here? We have to go back to thinking that we, not just the Black man and the Black woman, but collectively as a community, your own families. Yes, we're forced to sit and eat with our families more, forced to cook a little bit more maybe, but why weren't we always thinking, and you and I are people of faith, so it wasn't like we wasn't praying for each other and doing all that we had to do. You're a fabulous musician.
oh,
So
thank
let's just put that out there. Ladies and gentlemen, Andre taught my niece, who my niece is now like, doing excellently. And she is just like, she learned most of what she's learned from Andre Myrie. So
Well,
my niece had been in
I'm not
marching
gonna.
bands. My niece has gone to Washington, D.C. and has done,
She had
that
the ear
whole,
for it though. She really just honestly, if you look at her, she got better because she was around me, but she had the ear. She watched and she learned. But I appreciate that. And
yeah,
you
you
bring up
just
the
like,
faith. The biggest thing about being of faith, and I talked about it before, was like being able to fight this battle without hating. You can't hate and make it to the kingdom. And can I
so we
tell you?
say can't, but you know that, my blood boils when I hear people talking about people in my community, not just AOC. It's just like, I wonder really what my Latino community is saying, because sometimes I feel like they're a little quiet, but what comes out there is not like, we feel your pain, we hear you, we understand you, we get it. It's been systemic, it's been a long time. Come on, it's like, are you really going through what we're going through? Are you walking the streets as we walk the streets? Are you pushed up against the wall sometimes? Are you,
As
followed around the stores and supermarkets like we are? Are you
and
denied so
as
many things?
and as my esteemed pastor would say, right? God love them anyway.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's what,
And let me tell you, I'm saying that, and I struggle with it hard,
that's
more than any.
transparent. Thank you.
I struggle with it hard. There are days I wake up hating these people, and realize that my spirit, I can't. If I woke up the house and I'm hating somebody, and I'm not gonna make it.
Thank
I
you.
gotta. I'm trying to preserve my soul, so it's a constant prayer. Like I feel like the fight is difficult for people, a lot harder for people who are spiritual, because like you're fighting two different warfares, man. Like my soul is important to me, just like my life and my well-being on this country. And in fighting for my well-being on this country, it it it's in direct correlation. I gotta try not to hate these people.
All right. Do you understand that your heart is connected to your soul, and your soul has a lot to do with your thoughts and your mind? And, yes, your physical, thank you, Andre, because you're not just health, but you're also about fitness, and fitness involves the holistic,
It's mental,
so,
mind, body, spirit.
I appreciate that. Exactly where this is where we're headed. We're headed into, get armored up and get, ready for the
And
real fight. And it's not
and
just,
and
at the
and,
voting booth, but,
and
take
take
care
care
of
of
yourself.
yourself and take care of yourself physically too, man. Like
Thank you.
change the way we're eating. Like there's a reason they push junk foods in our communities, man. Like if you ever been to a white community, the restaurants and things that they have available, the healthcare, the resources. I went to a predominantly white high school. I graduated from Paramus High School. I went there for my junior and senior year. I graduated as one of 5 black kids in my graduating class.
Come on. Come
Right?
on.
Right?
5.
One of 5 black kids in my graduating class. So
Wow.
people was like, and I completely ingratiated myself in paramus and white culture to the point where I started to lose my identity. Do you know when I realized what was going on? When I got a license. When I got
Andre,
on the highways and byways, and I realized me being from paramus didn't matter. Where I went to high
right.
school didn't matter. Who my neighbors were didn't matter. How much money my dad didn't matter. When I got pulled over and taken out the car and told that I had just been released from prison a month ago, right, for doing a 10-year bid. I've never been to jail in my entire life, right? I've been arrested as a black man for a silly bench warrant, which I had the money for, right? And I was still taken to county. I was still stripped, and I was still put in that orange jumpsuit. I've been in the back of that cop car before. I've been handcuffed. I've had my knee pressed against that entire backseat of that car, right? All right, I went through that entire process.
Wow.
It was the most, and let me tell you something. Make you take your shoelaces out your sneakers like you. I'm literally telling these people, my bail money is here. Me going to county is unnecessary, right? For a bench warrant or a traffic ticket, right? Which I went to court the initial first time, right?
I don't know. I didn't know that. Wow.
I don't tell that story a lot. I thank God for my friends, because my friends were the ones who took care and got me bailed out at that particular time.
And so you're okay with the bail funds, and then rich putting money into that. They're claiming, it's just by one of my other brother who like really thinks about the law and the legal aspect of it. He doesn't believe any of this nonsense either. That reason why crime is up is because everybody's letting the minor offenders out of jail and stuff like that. I don't buy
crime
it.
is up. Crime is up because the cops aren't doing their job, because they're trying to leverage to get their power back. That's all that is.
Okay, you heard it, ladies and gentlemen.
I did an entire talk with 2 young men. You know the twins, Tyron and Tyshawn.
Yeah. All right.
We did a talk about it's called Institution, Not the Individual, where we really talk about the corruption of the actual police force. The police force, you have to understand what it's really rooted in. It's rooted in corruption. It wasn't called a police force. It was runaway slave control initially. So you can't
patty rollers.
Right. So you can't have a system that's rooted in corruption, right? And expect it to be able to facilitate to a people that was designed to actually police in the first place.
Thank you.
What you have going on right now is you have corrupt police bosses with these unions. So they're saying, all right, you want to defund us? We're not going to work, right? You'll see crime go up. It'll force you guys to actually, and that's an issue.
Is that why I'm getting fireworks in the Brooklyn community since May? I think last night it stopped at midnight. The night before it started at 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. I'm like, wait a minute.
I don't want to go into conspiracy theories, but
okay, let me just leave it. I'm like, wait a minute. They don't want to answer any of these calls because they don't want to answer the calls.
It's been consistent from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Oh, you had
for the last month at least.
I had about I've had about 2 months. Oh, okay.
On the 4th of July, I mean, not Independence Day, because that's not my independence. On the 4th of July, right? They literally rocked fireworks for 4 hours straight. I'm talking about.
Where do you get that money? Where do you get that money?
Where are you guys getting these fireworks from? But that's a whole nother cop.
2 months of money and hours of fireworks. I'm just wondering, that's a lot of money. Okay, so this is.
You gotta understand, and you understand this narrative. You hear the word defund the police. We're not talking about we're talking about reallocating funds. They'll never say that though, because that makes sense, and that's something that people can actually readily recognize. And reallocate means they're not going to take money away from the cops. Look, LA County, right? LA County, 50% of LA County's budget goes to the police department. Why? Why? Who are they policing? Why is it that every time a cop gets out the car, he looks like Batman?
The black and brown people have become money makers. I think I was watching Crime and Punishment, and it's about quotas or something like that. So, the police officers, about 12 of them had to, they had to make a lawsuit.
You have quotas on law. Now you don't see the conflict of interest there?
It's funding the prison institution.
Well, and that's a whole nother listen.
That's another conversation. But we gotta leave on this note. I
Yes. Oh,
think
yeah, yeah.
the point is being taken. Do we respect the Black man? Why not respect the Black woman? Do you understand what people on the ground look like? They look like a business entrepreneur like Andre Myrie. He's got his own business. He's a fabulous musician. He's a person of faith. He's living right. He's doing the right things. And sometimes he does get stopped. He does get pulled over. Do you all, I don't care what race are you from. Do your children constantly get targeted and pulled over and have their knees pressed? Are they in threat and danger of jail time? Do we have the same tactics across our different, demographic
Ask her,
communities?
what I always tell them is I ask them, so what did the cops say to you when you get pulled over? Oh, license and registration. I've gotten where you're coming from. Do you have any drugs, guns, or paraphernalia in the car?
Wow.
All right. That's a big one.
That's right.
All right. That's a huge one. I get that one all the time before license and registration. Ask them how many times they've been taken out the car without real probable cause.
That's right. That's right. So
ask them how many times they've been in the back seat of a car. It was 5 passengers, right? And the cop asked them for their ID when they're sitting in the back seat. Ask them those type of things.
Do you see why people are still angry? And it's not just because George Floyd. Do you see why? Because there was somebody who told the police, "No, you're making a mistake. If you Google me right now." So the cops went and they Googled him and they just let him off the floor. And they were like, "We're really sorry." Sorry, he was already humiliated. But what if you were not rich or famous?
I remember Jay Farrell.
Do you understand, ladies and gentlemen?
Well, it's the same cop in Cleveland pulled over Dave Chappelle and then killed an unarmed Black man the following day. Pulled over Dave Chappelle, let him go because it was Dave Chappelle killed an unarmed Black man the following day. So Black men are not respected. We're actually looked upon as a threat to national security, apparently, and that's why there's been a genocide against us. Black men, we got to start respecting our Black women because we're not going to be able to survive this fight if we don't have them fighting with us, right? Love our Black women, right? Stop devaluing, stop down talking our Black women. There is nothing on this earth more beautiful than a Black woman, and I dare you to tell me and find anything else that is, and I will say that completely and utterly confidently. There is nothing like a Black woman. So we must champion our Black women. We start to champion our Black women, it's only going to make us stronger. I 100% believe that.
Listen, I didn't pay him to say that. But you know what? That's why you're my brother. I just love and appreciate you. This is why we have this platform. We've been talking for an hour and I'm great, almost an hour. But I'm grateful for your time. I could just let it rip and we'll have more conversations. I'll bring you 100%. Back with my friends. I'll bring you back. Everybody's schedule is a little off right now, but that's awesome. I just, like to have these times where the platform is set to listen to the Black man, listen to his experience, listen to the ground, listen to, our Caribbean American, listen to the first gen, listen. Just stop for a moment and listen. This is important. This is Conexiones. We've made that conexión. We ask, how he's doing. How are we doing? How are you doing? His message is clear, ladies and gentlemen. Support the Black women. Support Black businesses. Support your own and take care of yourself because really you won't last if we're in a marathon and you realize that there's so many initiatives that we have to push in the future. It's not going to just change overnight. Andre is a little bit more pessimistic, like, not much will change at all, but we've got to have hope. And that's what I feel. It's not just the murals going all over Brooklyn. I feel that we've got to have hope. We've got to, encourage and uplift one another. And I just respect you, my Black brothers. I just respect you. I respect everybody. I love everybody. But you know what? Knowing that you have, come through so much. I mean, I didn't even know about that story. There's even more love and more respect. I honor you. I just, send you tons of love and hugs and energy. But, it's like my governor said, prayer still works. So just keep yourself grounded, keep that up. And I appreciate all the tips that you've been giving me. You can just offer me tips anytime. I know I'm doing some things wrong, but I'll have you on with my favorite holistic health coach, Jessie Blair Myrie, real soon. And you know what? Take care. Love you all. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you for joining.
100%. Thank you.
All right. Peace. Bye-bye.